Hello everybody and welcome to the first of many videos in this series in which I will be talking about a few ways to help you master certain games, and today I'm going to be covering the amazing Tower of Sisyphus in Returnal. Now it has been out since March for PS5 and is recently dropped for PC. It is a tough arcade-like endless mode where you have to deal with waves of enemies to go higher whilst also trying to beat your personal best and trying to stay alive, of course. Now, I have covered this game a few times, and I will link those videos down in the description below, so go check those out. The difference this time around is I will be discussing 5 main aspects that will help you hit the ground running and really make a difference in the leaderboard. So let's begin.
Get ready for the next battle.
I'm not going to be cycling through every gun in the game because there are only a select few worth mentioning, and that's because they really make a difference in the tower, especially with the right traits, which we'll be speaking about a little bit later on. These are a lot better and we'll be concentrating on them, but fear not, as they are inclusive of all playstyles such as offensive and defensive. The first one is the Rockland Lobber. The second is the Coil Spine. The Pyro Shell, I would say, is probably the easiest out of the 5 to use, just because you can just keep pressing it or hold it down and it will deal damage. The Electro Pylon Driver is pretty fun, but again, it's very, very advanced weapon. The Dreadbound is probably the best gun for the tower. Again, it needs a lot of practice. I'd say the best thing to do with it is like spray a little bit, then move and spray again. Just because when you reach hostiles counter and hit, it can be a little bit daunting and it can be a little bit, and it can get really silly with the orbs. So I'd say just spray and play with the Dreadbound. Just off the back of that as well, we're also going to be speaking about alt fires, the worst of the best. So at the bottom of the pile is the proximity mine. It's got average damage, but it is a little bit tricky to use. Next up is kill sight. Again, average damage. The point of kill sight is to aim for the weak spots on enemies. That's where you'll really maximize your damage output. Shock stream's okay. Again, it's got medium overall damage, but you've got to get really up close and personal with enemies. And then you've got the vertical and horizontal barrage, and they're pretty decent, but again, only just like medium output for damage. Now speaking about the top tier alt fires, so we've got Void Beam, that's really good. Doombringer, which can break shields. High damage, but as you're probably well aware, it does take a moment to charge. Then after that, we've got Tracker Swarm, really good high damage output. After that is Shield Breaker. Shield Breaker's got kind of medium to high. I'd say medium for non-shielded enemies and high for shielded enemies. And then we've got Blast Shield, and that's got a fantastic damage rate on that one, and it has the ability to break shields. And top of the pile would be the Tendril Pod, because that has damage over time, as well as the ability to break shields. So our next topic for discussion is weapon traits. A weapon is only as good as the level it is at and the traits provided with it. Usually you'll get 4 traits to go with the gun. Now these traits will come with different various levels. So the base level is 1, then 2, and then maxed out at 3. So I will only exclusively be speaking about the top 5 guns I have just previously mentioned. Which ones are the most exclusive and the ones that you really want to be unlocking on each weapon that is going to take you to the next level, that is fantastic for the gun, that'll really make a difference in the tower. You know, certain traits that don't go together, it just will perform very badly. So we're going to start with the Pyro Shell. This has got quite a lot of exclusives. Firstly, for the Pyro Shell, I don't like the Streamlined, which is increased fire rate. I always say this, I would rather have a gun that's slower but deals more damage than a fast gun that deals less damage. So when I'm looking at traits on a weapon, if there's more damage traits on there, then I'm taking it. That's all I'm looking for in a weapon, and that's all that you need to be looking for. However, secondary is Sticky Ears, Seeking Flares, Auxiliary Projectiles, and Simmering are all exclusives for the Pyro Shell. You want to stay clear of Bouncy. We've got Enlarged Chamber as well. And lastly, Anti-Grav isn't so bad. But I wouldn't class it as an exclusive trait. So after the Pyro Shell, next up is the Coil Spine. So this one has Adrenaline Discs. Exclusive would include Shattering Discs, Retarget, Splitting, Twin, Negating, and Enhanced Charged as well. So I'd say those will take priority. And also in there, not an exclusive, but you've also got enlarged chamber, all fire cooling. Next is the EPD, also known as the electropylon driver. This one, because as we spoke about earlier, is a little bit more complex to use, is because it doesn't really have a lot of decent traits, which is a shame. It's got protective pylons, blade pulse, silphium extractor, oblite extractor, blade harmonizer, and enlarged chamber. But I'd say the exclusive for this one is streamlined pylon web and the finisher. Next up is the Rockland. So we've got the standard ones such as bouncing, trailing, enlarge, and protective. What we've got exclusives such as durable rot, which increases the duration of the rot. Explosive, which is obviously just explodes on impact. Caustic rot, which does additional damage over time. And portal rot, which is very similar to the Allseeker's portal beam. So hostiles killed by the rot create a projectile firing portal. And the Dreadbound, finally, leaving the best to last. So the standard ones, you've got Oblite Generator, you've got Oblite Magnet, but the exclusive ones, like the bare minimum, is explosive and expanding. You'll hear this all the time from players, is it needs to have explosive and expanding minimum. If you get at least one of them, with the rest of it exclusive, that's fair enough. But if you have both of them, then you're just in for a treat. You've got damage steal, you've got returning damage, expanding shards, and fall shards. So yeah, this is a bit of background and which ones you just want to be prioritizing. So we're just going to quickly gloss over the artifacts and how to manage these as well. So you'll pick these up slowly but surely throughout your run, and you will get to a point where you are full. What I tend to do as well is I tend to get a resonance shield as early as possible, and what I also try to do as well is try to get the most expensive ones. So when you have the decision where you have to choose between two, I'll take the ones that will be most expensive. So when it comes to like a shop, I'll be left with, you know, the cheapest ones. So that's another tactic to keep in mind as well. When you do get full, you do need to start prioritizing which ones are going to help you. So for instance, like I'll get rid of like adrenaline ones or resin enhancer as well if I need to. Start prioritizing your artifacts and look into which ones are going to help you later on in your run. And this is such a basic function that I'm going to be saying and telling you in a minute. So ABM is basically always be moving, which is what you should be doing. I mean, Returnal is fast and furious. There are enemies that are shooting laser beams faster than the speed of light. You should always, always, always be on the move. You should never really be stopping or anything. You should always be, you know, circling the map and dodging or shooting and making sure that you're sustaining the multiplier at all times. And always keep an eye out for the indicator as well, because the game does give you an indicator where like the lasers are coming from, the rings in which direction, so always keep an eye on that. And it'll be easy to dodge them as well. It's such a big thing to have in the tower as well, you know, moving forward. So yeah, please implement that into your runs. Next up is sensitivity. Now this is a handy feature which is slightly overlooked, but once you fine tune this setting, it can be a huge gift from the gods. It is important to note that the default settings are quite slow and they are set to 100. Now the Returnal community suggests anything between the range of 150 to 200 and you're good to go. Personally, for me, I like to use 180. I'm going to demonstrate and show you the difference in speed by going through the first phase. Now you're going to have to bear with me as I haven't played since last year. I'm going to be showing you the first phase. Again, just showing you the difference. And this is also, just before we get into it, this is also another tip here. Always have the sprint always on. Don't have it toggle or press, just have it always on the sprint, just because everything's fast and furious in the tower, so you want that just to help you out a little bit further as well. So we're going to start default settings here, phase 1, room 1, as you can see. You know, it's just to show you the advantage of having and fine-tuning those settings for the tower, just to make your life easier. So as you can see in the first room, it's a little bit rigid, not enough movement. So I'm now going to edit these settings to what I usually play with. So look, X and Y speed, we're going to change those and see what difference that makes. We've got a couple of turrets, a couple of robots. As you can see here, a lot more freedom. It's a lot more fluid as well, the gameplay. Helping me twist and turn. I can see the enemies faster as well, just so I'm not blindsided, which is a huge thing, especially if you have groups like we have here, and they're all in one corner, thank God. As you can see now, Celine's more like fluid, just turning faster. This helps you as well, just so you're not getting attacked from the side and you can move faster. Alright, so that's another room down. I do miss playing this game, I've got to be honest. It's been a while. Alright, so what have we got now? We got these little eggs or squids. So again, they can flank you. Again, we're just playing with the max. As you can see, more fluid, better, faster. One more? One more somewhere. Ah. Oh, this little guy. I'll melee him. Awesome. Right, so that's another room down. As you can see, it's just... I'm not struggling to maneuver Celine. You know, everything's a lot more free. And that's what you want. Obviously, you can have it, like I said at the beginning, any range between 150 to 200. You don't have to have it at 180. You can kind of... It's all by, I suppose it's all trial by fire, trial and error with Returnal. You know, you gotta use the settings that are good for you and then go from there. For me, 180 is just a sweet spot, and it works for me. It's not too fast, but it's not also, you know, too slow. I'm gonna stick with the pistol for this round. All right, next room. So I'm gonna switch back to default settings again, just to demonstrate the difference between the default settings and my preference. So we've got some turrets here. Ooh, that was close. We've got some turrets. Again, I'm moving, but I'm struggling to really move as fast as I would be doing, which again is hindering my performance. And when you go higher in the tower as well, and you get the malform, the orange bar enemies, and everything gets a little bit overwhelming, you want to be as fast and fluid as possible, because it is a fast and furious game. So if anything, if the game's hindering that, or if you feel you need to sorry, I'm just trying to concentrate on these two guys. If you need to calibrate those settings, then, you know, go for it. You know, tweak as much as you can, remap as much as you can, just to make sure that when you're playing to your own, you know, you're playing on your own terms and not by the default what the game wants you to play as. I don't know why I'll just pick any for these ones, because I don't know why I'm just using I'm not doing a proper run. Let's just pick that one. Alright, so we've got some healing towers. We need to take out these. We've got some flying robots, they should be fine. Oh no, we got it. So again, oh, why did I get hit by? Okay, never mind. I've still got it on the default, so as you can see, it's not great. It's very slow. Come on, there you go. Take out these two. It's maneuvering, and as we spoke about earlier, with they'll always be moving. Maneuvering is such a huge part with this game. There's so many projectiles, there's so much going on. And if you can turn Celine, if you can maneuver her faster, then that's a win for you. So we're going to go now to what we're doing here. So we're gonna go. Oh, what have I done here? Yeah, so we're gonna put it back to preferable settings again, just to show you the difference. Side by side. Got some turrets. So as you can see, I'm turning faster. I can see where the lasers are coming from, which means I can make better judgment, better calls. Oh, yeah, hit by that one. Never mind. Oh, okay. We'll take him. It just makes for just a more interesting game, just a better game, more fluid. Hello. Oh, not to kill you, please. Thank you. And it, obviously, this is just, you will get very easy enemies on the first phase, but when you go higher, obviously that's when it starts to get tough to deal with the mobs, and sometimes you'll have big malformed squids, and you'll have mobs as well. And it, like I said earlier, it can feel a little bit overwhelming, so the faster you are, the better you are. Alright, we're nearly done with phase 1. More dogs. Melee, 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 melee. We'll get to melee and why it's so important literally in the next one. Which goes hand in hand, I suppose, with what we're going to go through next. I don't know why we went through the squid. I don't really need it. Just for old time's sake, I suppose. Right, get the key. Oh, get the key. Get the key, Celine. There you go. Nice. Alright, and then we're going to move on. We're going to exit this level. And then we've got a safe room. We're almost done. Yeah, this is just to show you the importance of how you don't have to stick by what the game gives you. You can make it your own. You can you can change the controls and remap everything, you know, for your own benefit at the end of the day. Alright, so we've got some robots, no big deal. Oh, spoke too soon. Let's take out this guy. Oh man, I'm rusty. I'm rusty. Hello. Oh, ooh, that was close. Nice. See again, so for these ones. Oh, hello, sir. I'm gonna die. Grab that. No, she doesn't grab it. Okay, never mind. Please don't hit me. Thank you. Yes. Where's he going? Where is he going? Grab the heel. Kill it. Nice. Okay. Thought I was gonna die there. Lovely. Lovely dribbly. Oh, also, if you get these, always choose damage or protection over integrity. You'll get plenty of health. You get plenty of health. Always damage and protection. So again, it's a combination of having the always running on and having the sensitivity up. Just makes me a lot harder to hit, because a moving target is a lot harder to hit than one standing still, and obviously with a lot of these enemies can be very tricky and they're very hard to sometimes. Obviously there's a lot to focus on in the game. You know, I don't expect everyone to like use the map and pinpoint every single enemy. That's why if you can be faster with your twists and your turns and how you're gonna. Oh, that was good. I like on that one. And how you're just gonna move generally in the game. If you can just get that down to a T, that's gonna make your life easier. Anyway, yeah. So that's sensitivity training for you guys. I hope that helps. Bump it up to whatever you need. Thank me later. Remember, always sprint. Always have that on. And yeah, choose damage over integrity. Yeah, so that's sensitivity. Thank you. This next technique is probably the most advanced, but it's certainly the most useful and easiest concept that's been brought into the tower. You're implementing it is a totally different story. And we're talking about mid-air melees. Some players who are just doing the normal ground melees, if you just jump a melee, the difference in score and multiplier bonus that it provides is crazy. For instance, just to give you an idea, at 100 multiplier, a small enemy will give you 250,000 points. Turrets, you're probably talking about 275,000, and larger enemies upwards and beyond. So there's many ways you can practice this. Obviously, the easiest would be just to repeat the tower over and over again, because I think like the first couple of phases, like 1 to 3, they purposefully leave like the bats and like the squid kind of egg enemies and the dogs, you know, just so you can start farming those mid-air melees. So just give you an idea as well for your multiplier. So a normal kill will make you multiply it go by 0.01. With a melee kill, mid-air melee, in fact, it's 0.03. Not only will it give you a boost to your score, but it will give you a boost to the multiplier as well, which just means you can get to 100 faster whilst getting a higher score. So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone there. Another way to practice mid-air melees would be just to run through the story. Again, there's lots of small enemies during like during biome 1 and biome 4. So you can easily just practice those in different scenarios. I know we covered it in the last video, but just practice memorizing and enemy patterns and enemy movement. There's ones that you'll see people constantly meleeing because they're easy. You'll have the mid ones, and then you've got the ones that you just you just leave because they're too dangerous. It's only now that I've started meleeing like Severed, so I'll get him down to a Tidge. And the good thing about the Dreadbound, you can whittle the health down to like the tiniest little health and then just go in for the melee kill. There's another strat for you. You're welcome. Practice the mid-air melees because they're going to make a difference to your score, a difference to your tactics and your overall strategy and the overall way you play the tower. And yeah, why wouldn't you want a bigger score and a faster multiplier? So definitely look into it. Practice, practice, practice. I'm sure you'll come out with your swordplay looking so much better. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope this bite-sized guide helps you lay the foundation of what's to come on your future runs. The other videos that I mentioned at the beginning are more thorough and a little bit longer, so please consider watching them too to give yourself complete tower control. All I can say is good luck in your future runs. I hope you go out there and smash those scores. If this video helped you in any way, shape or form, or if you're just simply new to the channel, please maybe leave a like, subscribe, and even a comment below to see if you've picked up a new strategy or if this helped you. I'd love to know. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.